Now it was noon, with almost everyone under cover in the bars and moistly shaded cafes. At this hour when Madrid properly came into its own, a dewdrop on that gridiron plain. Most other capitals in such heat would still have been an inferno of duty full of damp shopgirls and exhausted clerks, but not here, for Madrid knew when to say no and draw its shutters against the sun. This, of course, was also the habit in other Spanish cities, but here it had reached a peak of particular genius. For Madrid, at that time, if not today, was a city of 1,000 exquisite taverns, water-cooled, barrel-lined, and cavernously spacious, cheap and affectionately run, in whose traditional shade the men, at least, spent half of their waking time. Stepping in from the torrid street, you met a band of cool air, like fruit peel pressed to your brow, and entered a cloistered grotto laden with the tang of shellfish, wet tiles, and wine-soaked woods. There was no waiting, no crowding. The place was yours. Pot-boys took your orders with ringing cries, and men stood at their ease holding goblets of sherry, with plenty of time to drink them, while piled round the counters, succulently arranged in dishes or enthroned on great blocks of ice, lay banquets of seafood, craggy oysters, crabs, calamares, heaped in golden rings, and fresh lobsters twitching on beds of palm leaves, bowls of mussels, and feathery shrimps. Also on offer would be little sizzling saucers of kidney or roasted sparrow, snails, fried squid, hot prawns in garlic, stewed pork, or belly of lamb. Nobody drank without eating. It would have been thought uncivilized, and may have been one of the reasons why no one was drunk. But then this seafood, after all, was some of the best in the world, landlocked Madrid's particular miracle, freshly gathered that morning from the faraway shores, the Mediterranean, Biscay, Atlantic, and rushed to the capital in special trains which pushed everything else into the sidings. That's how I remember it, under the terracotta roofs, a proliferation of caves of ice, with carters, porters, watchmen, taxi drivers, sleek dandies and plump officials, sipping their golden wines, fastidiously peeling a prawn, biting into the tart pink flesh of a lobster, tasting the living brine of half-forgotten seas, of half-remembered empires, while the surge of conversation continued like bubbling water under the framed pictures of bulls and heroes. It was a way of life, evolved like a honeycomb and buried away from the burning sky, and perhaps no other city at that time had so successfully come to terms with this particular priority of pleasure. But I think my most lasting impression was still the unhurried dignity and noblesse with which the Spaniard handled his drink. He never gulped, panicked, pleaded with the barman, or let himself be shouted into the street. Drink, for him, was one of the natural privileges of living, rather than the temporary suicide it so often is for others. But then it was lightly taxed here, and there were no licensing laws, and under such conditions one could take one's time.